Hi, this is Matt from Broken Hope, and you're watching Richard Metal Fan.
Hey, what's up, guys? Episode 209 of Richard Metal Fan Interviews, calling from Zune, and I'm here with Matt Szlachta from Broken Hope. How you doing today, man? Great to be able to talk
Yeah,
with you.
I'm doing great, my man. Great to be part of your show.
Hell yeah, it's great to have you on here. Kind of like the format is, like we were discussing before we were rolling, I'm doing a rundown of your discography and talk about like your musical history. So take me back to young Matt. So kind of growing up, what were the first bands that got you into metal and what made you want to start playing guitar? And I know you have a lot of guitars in the back.
Yeah, I'm a guitar fanatic. Well, what got me started, man, just like any kid, the love of rock and roll and metal, man. I grew up in an era where that shit was prime. 80s hair metal, 80s thrash, skate punk. That's where I come from, man. Like the mid 80s, early 90s. So what got me really interested in guitar, obviously, like any kid, they heard Van Halen, Steve Vai, Satriani, and most of course Metallica. You know, I heard Injustice for All. I asked my mom to buy me the tape because I saw kids wearing the patches on their jean jackets at school. I'm like, that shit looks cool. I want to be a part of that. What is that? I saw it at Kmart. Begged my mom to get it. She bought it for me. Awesome, mom. Thanks. Popped it in the car and just fucking heard Blacken, and my mind just exploded. I said, okay, this is where we're gonna stay for a while. This is where it's at. So that opened up the doors to like, you know, all sorts of other type of metal, like discovering, you know, more aggressive shit like Sepultura before getting into the Malevolent Creations and all that shit in the 90s. But just like anybody, dude, like I started playing in cover bands as like in sixth grade, playing like, you know, Soundgarden, Spoon Man, and Pearl Jam, and Alice in Chains, and Metallica, and ACDC. That's how I cut my teeth, man.
Nice. Nice. And of course, a lot of people know you from Broken Hope,
Yeah.
Chimera, and Dirge Within. So, what were your bands even like long before that?
Man, it was weird. I played like my very first band was something that I just started here in the neighborhood with another kid, you know, so it didn't really do anything, but we played a hell of a lot of gigs, man. We got out and there was places for us to play and we were active. We were playing two gigs a month, I would say. I mean, it was cool. And we were recording demos on our 4 track. But again, that wasn't like it never got signed and took off. And then, you know, and then I had another band later on that actually was totally different than metal. It had nothing to do with metal. It was with my brother. It was more like this ambient, like Radiohead-ish, eccentric kind of thing. And that actually got some. It started to take off. It got some recognition, you know, out there. We started playing bigger clubs and stuff. And then, you know, I always had metal and heavy like music background. Just I like everything. And then so the stuff I did before really, it kind of really never took off because there's no labels, no label interest, and I didn't really know about that. Nor did I really even think about that. I just wanted to be a better musician and like compose and mess with effects and learn about how to get gigs and all that. And then the whole Dirge Within thing came in, and that was like the first one, you know, that it took off for me, like in a real situation. But yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing exciting before that, man. I mean, it was exciting for me, but like as far as getting out there in the world, like yeah, we just kind of sat around in Chicago and you know,
Yeah. Yeah,
around
because
out here. Yeah.
yeah, because I was like looking at your discography on Discogs. I know there's like something from 2005, Unique Chick with It Never Fails
Mm-hmm.
Forever. I'm always
Yeah,
curious,
unique chick. Yeah,
like
yeah.
I've never even heard of that before. Tell me about that. I don't think nobody talks about that.
No, dude, I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah, right off the bat, that's my favorite band I ever had. I love that shit. It was just so fucking chill. It's that shit was just like we cut a record. Again, it did really good in the underground. Like local radio stations were playing all the indie music. It was indie music basically. Like again, along the lines of like Radiohead and stuff like that. And yeah, it's a damn shame people don't talk about it because the songwriting on that is powerful. The singer, so my brother was the drummer. Uh, Me and then the singer started this band, and the singer is like Jeff Buckley. If you get a chance, this dude is fucking great, man. I don't even know if he plays anymore. We haven't talked in years, but that what made it special was like this powerful vocal delivery that's strong in key, kind of Jeff Buckley-ish with this like really jangly, mathy type of music. Kind of like how everyone got into like Polyphia and Chan. We were like doing that kind of shit already, like kind of 20 years ago. Like all mathy and indie, because there's a lot of bands that already sounded like Calypso a long time ago. People don't know that. But anyways, everyone at that time too, not too many people were into it. Some people were into it. But go check it out, man, and let the music speak for itself. I don't know. You probably hate it if you're into metal, but a lot of metalheads are open-minded these days, right? Because you have bands like Between the Buried and Me. Hey, yeah, so imagine Between the Buried and Me without any metal.
Yeah. I was like that when I was younger, but I feel like the older that you get, the more your tastes change.
Sure. Yeah, and for me, it was slightly almost opposite at times because my interests wane from metal. I'm going to be honest right away, man, and I don't want to sound like a jerk or anything. It's just personal preference. When new metal happened, that thing, new metal, that's when Unique Cheek happened for me. I wanted nothing to do with metal. The only thing I had at that time, dude, I'm a passionate fucking metalhead. Don't fuck with my metal. And then when this thing happened, I didn't get it. I was completely a disconnect for me. There was no shredding solos, no more worshiping Satan. Fucking, dude, like, what's going on here? Everyone's dressing up kind of, and I like hip hop, don't get me wrong. Go ahead, you can dress like Tupac or whatever. But dude, give me some motherfucking metal here. So like, all I had back then was my Morbid Angel and my, Malevolent Creation records still. But and they were still doing music, but new metal just took over. And yes, I love Slipknot. Slipknot, thank God. The first album, but I just couldn't connect with it, man. So I kind of bounced. I wanted to grow and explore. I went to study jazz and study bebop music. I did like indie rock just to be able to get into different things, and find different moods, because I was also getting older and wanted to be a better musician just for the sake of musicianship, so yeah, when that new metal thing happened, that was kind of like my ticket out. And I'm like, I'm kind of bowing out. I'm gonna wait for this thing to come back, because it will. And as we all know, it did.
Yeah.
And thank God. But anyways, and I'm not knocking new metal and people who like it and grew up on it. Hey, if you got into metal through new metal, fuck yeah, man.
Good, that was kind of my role. Well, because right? I remember when I first heard like if it wasn't for like Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory, I wouldn't have gotten into like Cannibal Corpse and shit.
See, perfect gateway.
Yeah.
Linkin Park, the Cannibal Corpse, yeah. But you get a hint for that aggressive guitar sound and screaming, so yeah, and for me it was like, I had Cannibal Corpse when they first started. I remember my friends like, my brother got this album, we gotta ditch school during lunch. So we ditched school, fucking, he busted up a can, poked some holes in it, we started fucking smoking, and then he puts it on, man. There it was, like, Butchered at Birth or whatever that album came out. I was like, oh my God, dude, this is fucking real. And we loved it, dude. So I heard it when that album, like the week that album came out, and it was just like, this is unbelievable, man. And metal was going so strong, up until that point. But then you got the commercial wave of music, and then I'm not gonna knock it, but dude, I'm gonna say actually, Linkin Park, I eventually grew to like.
Yeah.
Great songs. What's his name? Chester Bennington. Chester.
Yeah.
Phenomenal singer. And real quick, I know I'm a big music fan. Man, he killed it with Stone Temple Pilots.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot he was in that band.
Everyone does.
Yeah, because like Hybrid Theory, Meteora still slap. When I was like 10 years old, that was my definition of heavy as fuck.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Oh my God. But good for you. Like I said, it was a gateway. It helped you to start to understand this heavy sound and feel it, and then you could move forward with it instead of just stay in the same place. Dude. Okay, so yeah, I'm talking all this weird. Like, I'm not bashing it, but later on, I learned to love this Linkin Park sound, and their songs were great because I have students. I was learning their songs. I'm like, you know what? This shit is pretty cool. Another band that actually you would never believe that I like totally got into for real. Papa fucking Roach. Oh my God, Papa Roach has songs for days, dude.
Yeah, I like the Infest was a great album.
Oh, so good. Like, I can't believe it. I was like, okay, I get it now. Older, I think at the time I was just bummed out that they were like bumping all my favorite bands out of the way. I'm into like high end guitar solos and flashy fucking all that stuff. So, but again, none of that matters. Great songs. A great song's a great song, man, and it'll always win me over.
Indeed.
And Papa Roach has some tunes, man. Right?
Yeah, like I even like Last Resort, even though now it's just like a meme. Like somebody says, "Cut my life into pizzas. This is my
Yeah,
plastic fork." That,
yeah.
that somehow became a meme. And funny enough,
A meme.
yeah, and the funny thing, the irony is that they actually embraced the meme, and they actually made like a clothing line based out, like a little limited clothing thing based off of that.
That's amazing. I didn't know that, but that's great. See, they got a sense of humor. That's killer, man. Band
Uh,
awesome. A
uh,
plus plus. Um, yeah, that's cool. I mean, but yeah, so like later on, I learned to appreciate all that stuff, and it's all just like one thing now. That's what I love about like where we're at now. I think it's all just one thing, you know, going out and playing festivals. I'm playing with all sorts of bands, old school, new school, it doesn't matter. And it's just like the camaraderie is there, especially after the pandemic. I mean, we'll get more into that stuff, but just like, yeah, so like the real thing, the answer to the question, like growing up in the upbringing was kind of confusing in metal. So that's why Unique Cheek happened. It was just kind of a way to try something different and move away for things to kind of come back and sort themselves out politically and musically. And they did. And then I found my way back into metal, and I'm glad I did. But anyone with some melodic sensibilities, go check out Unique Cheek. It never falls to fail or something. I forgot what we called it. It's a
yeah,
beautiful
it
record.
never fails forever.
It never fails forever. Yes. I mean, it was so a great time in my life, you know. And it was also the time when you weren't really like, it had all these distractions available to you, like all the Instagrams and stuff. You know, it was still kind of like I just got a flip phone, and
Yeah.
you know, the early 2000s, some good times.
Uh,
But yeah, that's that.
yeah. And then it was around the time 2007 you joined up Dirge Within. So how'd you get to know those guys and how'd you end up joining that band?
Man, the same guy that made me ditch high school and smoke weed with him and listen to Cannibal Corpse records. Basically, he was hit up Sean Glass. As we all know, Sean was part of Soil, and that was a really successful band that had a song on the radio and all that, and the big tours. Sean wanted to start something a little more metal because Sean's history is also really heavy in metal. So, dude was like, I need a band, but I want to build a band with people that are kind of new faces and fresh where, you know, we never heard of them. These guys are green, you know? So this bass player hit him, Sean, because he knew him from Soil. Somehow, I forget. And he was like, yeah, I need a bass player. So they just had a couple songs. He went and auditioned, played the songs, but he was like, dude, I need a lead guitar player for this band because this is like fucking metal, you know? So he suggested me. We were at a birthday party for his brother. He plays the demo that James Murphy mixed of Forever the Martyr and stuff. He's like, dude, we're looking for a guitar player. You got to do this. I listened to it and I was like, oh, fuck, this is so good. And okay, I'll think about this. And he's like, dude, this is going to be a great opportunity for you. You're a shredder, and you know, you got to bring it out and let the world know about it. And I was like, okay. I went audition. I had my stuff ready. Sean liked it. He asked me to come back. And then he gave me some new songs, and I learned those. And I wrote new parts to that stuff, leads and all that. So he was like, oh, man, we're playing a show. It's their first show ever. And funny enough, we were playing with Earthburner, or no, not Earthburner. It was Jeremy's other band, Lupara, which I'm in a band with Jeremy Wagner now. So
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, full circle, right? So the first show Dirge Within is going to play. They're like, dude, you got to play it. Because Sean's like, I can't even hear these songs without your parts anymore. Because I went to rehearsal and I had all this stuff in there. So I played the show and I'm like, all right, I hope he liked it. I thought I did good. And I was leaving and he runs out. He's like, dude, you're in the band. Fucking gives me a Dirge Within shirt, or at the time called Dirge. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so awesome. And celebrated. And then the rest kind of just started to develop from there, you know? But that's how it happened. It was just kind of like the kid I went to high school with, you know, knew Sean played bass. He remembers that I was a shredder through and through, and he kind of and it worked out really well. I thought we had great chemistry as a band. That whole band, we had great chemistry. I thought. And Sean's not a lead player, and his sound is real heavy and thick. I never played in that tuning or baritone guitars, so playing against it was interesting and a great contrast. I thought it worked really well.
Yeah. And then of course talking about your first record with the band Force Fed Lies. I like that
Yeah,
album. I think it like Dirge Within was
thank
a
you.
very underrated band. So what was the thought process going into making that album being it was like your first record with the band?
Oh my God. By the way, first of all, thank you. I do love that record too. I'm very proud of it. So, and yes, underrated. But anyways, that was kind of like, it was quick, but it wasn't quick, because here we are trying to get a deal to release this record, and we're writing songs for a record that really hasn't been signed yet. But then we got the deal because we brought in Etzel Dope from the band Dope, and he produced it. And then it got out on E1. But the writing process all started from tons of rehearsals. As we were rehearsing, we were still playing local shows with our 45-minute set. I think we had at the time 40 minutes of original material. And we kept writing and picking at it and picking at it. And then we finally got in the studio, and then it was pretty much all laid out when we got in there. And we might have added and changed little things here and there. The most change happened, I think, not musically, but vocally. The whole thing was more supposed to be about like a powerful, like Corey Taylor style delivery, heavy but melodic. So most of the work when we got into the studio with Etzel to finalize it and get it released, was all more like vocal duties. And then here and there, they'd be like, hey, like throw an extra guitar thing in here and there. But ultimately, everything was complete at that point. It was all done. It just kind of, hey, let's make the vocals killer and send it out to mixing, which Colin Richardson, famous mixer engineer guy, his sidekicks mixed that, Jeff and Ginge. And fuck, man, they killed it. I just love the sound of that.
Yeah. And so what was like the first tour that you did for that album? Do you remember, or like the touring for it?
I do. And it's actually a very important tour. Man, you asked some good questions. Very
much appreciated.
Dude. Yeah, because this is why that's important. That first tour was the very last Static X tour with pretty much all the original guys. Koichi, Wayne Static, Campos. And then they had a different drummer, though. They only had a different drummer. Sorry. So Will Hunt was drumming for them, actually.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Very great drummer. So that was the last tour. And we did 2 weeks with them. And also, very specially, we had another band called Seventh Void on that tour, which was Typo Negative, basically, without Peter Steele, right? Because Peter just passed. And Vinnie Paul was alive, and he basically released that record by Seventh Void, or they had some sort of affiliation because they were on his tour bus on that tour. And also an awesome band called Bury Your Dead was on there that come out with a new record at the time that was kind of more melodic for what they're known for. So this was a huge, important tour. Bury Your Dead, right?
Yeah.
For this.
Yeah, very underrated band too.
Yeah, totally. So that's the first tour, and we get out there, and the tour is killing, man. And so that we learned a lot about touring, because 2 weeks, I never toured up until that point, and I was like, oh my God, 2 weeks feels like a lifetime. But I also learned, all the rules and regulations of an etiquette of touring, and living in the van and getting to venues and not eating the headliners' food before, they get there, stuff like that, and drinking all their beer and all that. But that was an amazing tour, because that was the last tour with Wayne in like that group before that whole band went into whatever craziness for all those years. And Wayne obviously passed, rest in peace. So that was an awesome tour, because I got to see them every day. And actually, I became a Static X fan on that tour. I knew it and I liked it, but I didn't know what it was really like until I was there with it. So it was cool.
Nice. And then you toured around for a little bit, but it was in 2011 you left Dirge Within. So how hard was it to leave that band?
Oh, it was very easy. No, no, not to sound like that. Just like any band, you become kind of a dysfunctional family, and you start to lose focus of what the initial thing was that you were chasing after, and its purpose. And I'm friends with everybody. I always play. I have no animosity or burn any bridges with anybody, because I'm not into that. It's all about music and stuff. So yeah, leaving that band was it just was like, yeah, we so before that happened, people don't know, there was that Absolution. I think it was like an EP of 5 songs or 4 songs on there, and that by then we got dropped from E1. Our management left. So we got picked up by some weird little label. I don't even know what it is. And we released this EP on it. And then we went on a tour with Kitty. we did this tour with Kitty, and it was all right. And that was the last tour with them. And it was just like, man, we can't, we lost everything. We had our shot. It's time to go. And the politics were just kind of, it's a sinking ship, man. You know, just kind of, and it sucks because the music was badass and it was cool. It wasn't really with the music. I mean, the issue I wanted, it wasn't an issue. I just wanted to write a little bit more with the band because I felt like I could contribute to that style a lot more than what we were doing. And so did some of the other guys. And then the one guy wasn't really too into that, you know, and that's fine. It's his thing, you know. And then it's like, okay, well then we shouldn't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Yeah, so leaving it was easy, but it was sad because like now I look back on it and man, we had tons of fun. We did all sorts of killer tours and met a lot of people. Man, we played some fucking amazing shows, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Real quickly, I know I was talking about this last show. Dude, I did before Peter Steele died. I love Typo Negative. Totally.
Yeah, me too.
So Peter, right? Unfucking believable.
Yeah, I
man.
like it. Even like all the goth chicks like are obsessed with Peter Steele.
I know, and even now, currently to this day, it's so amazing. I hope it never goes away because that band's so good. Yeah. And I got to do the Jaeger tour, whatever that was. It was a Jaeger tour, Hate Breed, Typo Negative, and we played a couple of these shows, dude. So I got to play on that with Typo and Hate Breed.
Nice.
And watching Typo every night it was like I finally I met Peter too, shook his hand. It was awesome. And so anyways, that's just one of those really cool fucking shows that you're like, wow, that'll never happen again because those people are gone. And I had the opportunity to be there with them for a minute, and that was cool. So anyways, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, but then of course you ended, I think after that you joined up with Chimera. So how'd you get to know like Mark and everybody?
Internet. No, I'm kidding. No, it wasn't internet. It was we were on tour. So at one point, Dirge Within was doing a Trivium tour, and then Chimera.
That's how I first heard of Dirge Within, by the way, that tour Trivium.
Wonderful tour. Man, that's awesome. You were at that. You went to that tour. That's cool.
Actually, well, I didn't go to that, but I've heard about it because I saw them that summer at Mayhem Fest. Because they mentioned the name Dirge Within. That's how I've heard about them, and I didn't start listening to a little after that. And I'm like, damn, I should have seen that tour.
Oh, that's so cool. I know it was awesome, dude. It was awesome because they were on that album that I actually really liked by them. That's like all epic with not Ascendancy. Jeez, you know what I'm talking about. All the songs are really long. I love the record.
It's the Shogun.
Shogun, thank you.
Yeah, they have their longest song ever, which is the title track. That's like 11 minutes long.
Yeah, dude, they were like, so that was the tour. It was a show. It was just like, fuck yeah, dude. This is like Shred Fest because I got it to hang out with Corey and just like talk shred all day with him. But so anyways, Chimera comes in on the second leg, I think it was, of that tour. And these are very long legs. These are like 6 to 8 weeks or something. I can't remember. They're like forever and ever. So Chimera joins up on the second leg. And funny enough, Emil Wurzler was in a band called Doth. You're familiar with Doth?
Yeah, they're from my home state of Georgia. I've actually had Sean. I had Sean on here last week.
Oh God, I love him.
Cool guy.
Yes, he's hilarious. Oh my God.
Yeah, he was funny.
Dude, touring with that guy was just like a laugh a minute. I mean, gut busters all day.
He had me laughing during that interview.
He's something else. I love him, man, and it was always it was just so much fun on the road with him. Yeah, he would fuck with me all the time. It was just great. I love it. He just loved it. Anyways, dude. Yeah. So Emil Wurzler played bass for Chimera for a second because Lamarca or something had something going on. And basically, I already knew Emil because, believe it or not, I also worked as a sound engineer. I do a lot of music jobs. So I worked as a sound engineer as a club, an assistant engineer and stuff. So when those touring bands would come through, I would set up mics, I'd mix some stuff. I fell in love with Doth. I mixed them that day. They came through on an awesome tour with Goat Whore and Cattle Decap. And like, and their album wasn't out yet. And I got a sampler. And then I watched Emil play and I was like, dude, something about you is very special. I love what you did. I don't really talk to anybody about this. And he was like, hey, let me get your number. You totally hit it on the head. Because I was like, man, you sound like Django and all this. And he was like, dude, Django, you know. So he's like, come on out and hang out. So now I got his number and now we become friends. So by the time this tour happens, boom, there's Emil Wurzler. He's about to play. It's like, hey. So I kind of get introduced to the band. I watch them. We're all touring. We're hanging out. He was only like on a week of that tour. So I get to meet these guys, and my God, Rob Arnold and Matt, and those guys are the most genuine, nicest, friendliest people I've ever met. It was truly an eye-opener and a humbling experience to see these guys that, you know, put out so much awesome music and are, you know, so up here, but they're just like you, man. They're your homie, man. They're chilling. You're hanging out with them, and it's nothing to it. It's really, really refreshing. Anyway, so we become friends. That tour wraps up. Dirge Within got asked to do a couple more shows with Chimera. They were like doing these one-offs in between Mayhems and shit. Like, hey, we're gonna play this little club. You guys want to come out and open up for us? Fuck yeah, Chimera, anytime. Here's some shirts. You know, we come out and play. So I remember, you know, just being friends with them, hanging out with them. They got to know me. Mark actually saw me perform with the band at I forget, I think it was Colorado. He said one day I watched you play. He's like, damn, that's his show tonight. Damn. That was his show, because I fucking did it. You know, I felt like, I guess, amazing, and he loved it, and he watched and he said that. And then that kind of sold him. He's like, you know what, dude? He left the band because it was 1 week in between Dirge and Chimera. Mark calls me up. He's like, dude, you want to join the band? Or this is what's happening. Are you interested? And I'm like, oh my God, of course. And so Emil already knew me. He knew what I was about. I could play. And then Mark actually saw me, and they knew me from touring. So it's kind of a thing. They knew who I am, how I play. And, you know, up to there, it'd be just kind of up to me to fit in and gel. Because remember, the situation was weird. The band left, and I'm just going to kind of finish off the tour that they had already, but it's a different guys, not those guys. But we did it, but we ended up making our album and still touring. But anyway, so that's how I got into it. It was just kind of like we became homies and friends, and it led us to making music together.
Yeah. And so tell me about making this album, Crown of Phantoms. I love this album, probably a very underrated Chimera album. And hard to believe it's been 10 years since this first came out. So how do you feel about this album now, 10 years later?
The same way I did when I first heard it. I mean, I thought it was awesome. It was gross, dude. It was just like, again, it was a little different for a Chimera record, but I love that. I thought it was cool. I don't know, man. So like number one, well, there's two big key components for me that really love being a part of that. One, I'm a fan of Mark Hunter's vocals, whether I know Mark Hunter or not. I don't give a shit. Like the vocals, the guy is a vocalist for heavy metal music. I love him. I sound fucking great. He's great. I love his enunciation, just the whole delivery, man. The whole package is just baller. Again, and that's just like, if I don't know this guy or what, I just liked it. So that was an honor right there, because those vocals are killer. And then Sean sang on it too. But like, and then the other one is Emil. I was always, we always got along musically, and I always wanted to be in a band with a guitar player like this and work with him, especially. And there we go. I got to see him work and be a part of that and learn. So kind of like being in that music bubble with these guys was really the great memento I took from that. But also the music that came out was phenomenal. Like, and dude, they let me contribute. They let me contribute and play and shit. It was just fucking awesome. They could have said, nah, dude, don't do fucking anything. But I sent a song to Mark, Kings of the Shadow, where he calls me, that's fucking sick. That was a song I actually wrote for Dope. I had a student over here.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah. No, and he was like, no, this is a Chimera song. My student was like, you got to send that to Mark now. And I'm like, all right, I did it. Dude called me back in like 10 minutes. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Like, what other songs did you do on there? Is it just Kings of the Shadow World?
Yeah, that, and then like that instrumental Transgression.
I got like the track listing right here.
Yeah, Transgression, you know, shit like that. Like, but mostly, you know, those guys were working because I live in Chicago, man, you know, so everything for me was via email and stuff. And then those guys were in Cleveland, like they were hanging out together in the same room, you know, when we were doing it. Also too, because kind of going back to a little bit earlier in the conversation, we did the Soundwave Festival tours, and then we went out on to finish another tour in Europe. And then we didn't know Chimera was going to be a thing. And then we were kind of waiting on the green light from Mark going, hey, you know what? Fuck it. Let's keep this lineup and do it. Let's do this. Let's make an album. And that was the result of that album. So that kind of came along really, really quick. There wasn't like too much time to write.
Yeah. Yeah, and so you've of course you knew like I think it was like blah, 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 Sean and Emil. So, but how'd did you know like Austin and Jeremy me Creamer before that? What was like your
No,
first impression of them?
man, my first impression was I love these people. They're wonderful. They're so different, two completely different people, but it all works. Um, Jeremy is super chill, laid back, kind of like very philosophical, meticulous, detail. Uh, Austin, he's that, but like a fucking nuclear bomb. He's just like bam. It's just like all this energy, and that to me is like best of both worlds because I'm like hyper, and so I got along great with Austin and Jeremy, and musically and personally too, because this was interesting because you're joining this band of people from different places and you never met. You don't even know if you're going to get along with these guys, and in America we did. But
Yeah.
yeah, I got along great with those guys. Everything was killer.
Yeah. And so what was like touring like for this album? Because I know this is like your only album with the band.
Yeah, man, touring with them was pretty killer. We did some big tours, big profile tours. I think we did Asking Alexandria in the States. We did some Europe. We headlined a lot. Actually, that was interesting for me because I never headline, and when you headline, you play longer and then you play last, so you can't be tired, and you have to be like ready to
On
kill it
top.
at fucking yeah on top, man. You're like coming off like yeah, and so there was a lot of new things to learn. It was cool to be in a bus and be a little more comfortable, have help with techs. My guitar endorsements were there to give me gear when I needed and all that stuff. So the overall touring experience was very awesome, ideal actually. I mean, this is what we all want. We want to be comfortable on the road because the road is the hardest place, especially for guys like me. I get a little homesick, and I'm doing these big long tours. And you need your friends by your side, which is your band, and then you also need that fucking music sounding great, and all your gear working. So all that was a really great experience. Plus, dude, you meet a lot of cool people, like hanging out with all those guys. I did a tour of Whitechapel. I knew those guys already before that. You're just hanging
Yeah.
out with your homies at that point. It's fucking awesome. It's killer. Yeah. So yeah. So I really have nothing negative, actually. It was all positive, and also I feel like if there was something negative, it was more of like a learning experience where I take that negative and turn it into something positive that I could harness and use later in my life to better myself in my life.
Nice.
So anything, yeah. So yeah, like I went. Oh, most importantly, before I move on, I got sober on those tours.
Nice.
I used to drink a lot on the road, and then I stopped drinking on one of those tours, and then
Yeah.
I was able to tour without alcohol, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And have you still been sober since then?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I fell off the wagon a little bit. Like after that, I was like a year and a half something sober, and then I started drinking again. And then like a couple years ago, I went sober
Yeah.
again.
Congrats, by the way.
Yeah, totally. I don't need that stuff, man. Been
Yeah.
there, done that. But yeah, so that was a huge thing because man, it's difficult to do this shit like without all the juices, man.
Yeah. Yeah. But then you toured for this, and then pretty much almost everybody except for Mark like jumped ship after this. So how hard was it to leave this band?
Oh, that was hard. I mean, I didn't want it to happen because of all the good things I just expressed, and the comfortability and of touring, and we just had it, man. When you're in, you're in. You got a record label, you got management, you got a team behind you, and then you abandon it, and then it's like fuck, man. But it did have to happen, unfortunately. Technically, it did have to happen, but I think when it was happening, and I don't think this is even really talked a lot, they kind of also tried to save it. The management called me and they wanted me to also assemble. I was the last one to get crossed off on the Blabbermouth pick, I think. So basically, they wanted me, before I got crossed off, to start another band to go play some other shows, basically, that were contractual obligations. And I was like, I can't do that, because it was basically me getting another guy from here in the neighborhood and rehearsing all the Chimera songs with another bass player that I knew, and then maybe calling up like whoever, like fucking Wes Hawk or somebody to play guitar with me. And like, I was like, no, dude, that's
Yeah.
I yeah, because at that point I have to even honor the band as a fan of Chimera. Is this something I want to do as a fan to fans? Bring in
Yeah.
another third lineup and kind of, sure,
Yeah.
if it sounds good
Yeah.
and Mark's there, right?
Yeah, right. Because they've gone through so many lineup changes, and that was pretty much the reason for the breakup, because they won't have to go through yet another member change.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I didn't really, like I said, it kind of had to happen, unfortunately. And as a fan, I think that was the right thing to do. And everything kind of eventually, now as you see, they reset in a way. They got their original lineup back for the most part. Yeah, because Ando's, I guess he's ill and he can't perform anymore, so Austin still plays, which is awesome, because Austin is such a great fit for the band. He's
Yeah.
got a certain style, right? That style that locks in to place with Chimera. And also talking about that, man, I always told Mark this, and he got a kick, and everyone's like, dude, don't talk to him about that, because we got to learn more songs. I was like, we need to play more songs from Resurrection, man. I want to do like Pleasure and Pain. I want to play fucking this, and then I wanted to do this. And then it was like, we got to play our original album, and we got to write another album too. And but also, before I left, I had like 8 songs. Sean Z sang on them, and he put them up on like a Bandcamp somewhere, like just my demos and him screaming over it. And we were gonna like write a bunch of songs, like,
Wow.
I guess, but it never happened. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. I think Mark's a good vocalist. Would love to have him on my show at some point.
Yeah, I don't see why not. He's a cool dude. It's not like he's Barry Manilow. He's untouchable.
Yeah, I'm friends
Like
with him on
Mr.
Facebook.
Manilow.
Look, I've sent him messages. He hasn't replied. So, Mark, if you're watching this, come on, man. Let's hook up.
Yeah, do it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, fucking Mark, dude, powerhouse of a metal vocalist. I saw like he filled in for Randy from Lamb of God.
I saw that.
Fuck yeah.
He was
right.
great. And then I think him and Matt from Trivium was filling in, and Matt did like clean vocals only on like their song 512.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty interesting. A great unique take.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that shit's cool, man. When people just all get in on that and like, yeah, but collabs, man, all these metal guys, dude, we got to keep the metal flowing and keep it alive, and more collabs and involvement, and keep pushing this forward. We can't let this like Disney pop music, push us out.
Yeah, exactly. But then you're saying,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, but I think it was like after that, I think you did a Blood Money Part 1 by Dope. So how did you like work out with play on that album? Because I know you're friends with Etzel. Etzel was also killing it with Static X. So tell me about like that album.
Dude, yeah. And I'm glad you're the first person I ever get to talk to about this. I'm glad. Awesome job, my friend. Thank you.
Much appreciated.
It's just weird. Yeah, because people don't know about this, because you're sitting in studios and you're hanging out. So this is an interesting story. As you know, Dirge Within was produced by Etzel Dope, that Force Fed Lies album. So I become friends with Etzel. Etzel has like this production company who worked for, called Banshee Music at the time, which does like music for NFL, NHRA, sports, commercials, TV placements, all this kind of stuff, football, every sport. So he's like, man, you got a lot of talent, bro. You want to ever get down and record some shit? I'm like, sure. He's like, I'll pay you, man. It'd be cool. So I started going over there and writing songs for NHRA and race cars and shit like that. And he went to the guy who was the head of the company, played him some stuff, and he was like, man, Virus is killing us. He's like, this ain't Virus, bro. This is my guy, Matt. He's like, whoa, we got to sign him on. So I started working with this company, Banshee Music, writing branding music, like, for commercials and TV and sports and NFL. I did a song with Lejean fucking from Seven Dust called Welcome to the Show for the Atlanta Falcons, Georgia guy. Right? Yeah, so I wrote this song with him and this other guy, and we did a bunch of songs. A song with Red Jumpsuit Apparatus and fucking all these bands, because there was commercials. And anyway, so all this time is going, and he's like, we got to do a Dope album. And I was kind of like, dude, I got all these fucking riffs. You got a 7-string. Dope needs a 7-string. Dope needs heavy fucking riffs. We need to get back on this. So obviously what happens, the company dies. I don't know why. Who gives a fuck? And he's like, we got to make this Dope album. I got to get this stuff going again. So I took like all these songs that I had, even shit I had with Chimera and all this stuff, and we just started every day just compiling and compiling and piling over the course of like a year and a half, 2 years. And then fuck, man. And then finally he moved and then he put it together, and then he calls me up. He's like, dude, fucking the label loves all your songs, that we're going to use all that shit, the whole album, Blood Money, it's just you. And then inside you see all the songs I'm on, my name and everything. I got credit and everything, which was awesome, because sometimes these guys are like, it's all me, man, I ain't gonna give you credit, I'm the best, whatever. And then I'm like, oh, okay, well, throw me a couple bucks at least, because anyways, this was cool. It was all legit. And then I loved it because I got to make a record that's more commercially viable with less screaming. And it did great. It went to like number 17 or something on a Billboard, or 23. And dude, fuck it. I'm just going to say, I thought that record was never going to happen.
Wow.
Ever. Dude, yeah, it was like literally sitting at my house, just like another day. I get a phone call. He's like, the album's coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was dead for like almost 5 years, just shelved, just sitting there. But anyways, it's a fucking killer song. So there's a song called, oh man, it's like kind of a metalcore song. That was going to be a Dirge Within song. Some of them were going to be Chimera songs. But they all got dopified at the end. But dude, what a great experience. X was a phenomenal engineer and musician and a good brain for all that stuff. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about production and shit. Yeah. And I never toured with the band. Never, did all that. I just wrote that music and recorded it with him. And there was a lot of other players on there too. But yeah, it was a lot. It was him and I every single day for like fucking 15 hours a day.
Yeah. Yeah, and then of course the next thing I want to talk about is the latest Broken Hope album, Mutilated and Assimilated. I love this album. So tell me about like this. This was your first record with the band. I actually had Jeremy on here about a year ago. So, and I almost forgot you were in this band. You joined in 2014. So how'd you hook up with those guys?
It's just hilarious. I just played a festival in Monterrey, Mexico. I get a text like, a half hour after I get off stage. They're like, were you just on stage playing in a band? I'm like, yeah, Broken Up. Like, oh my God, I thought it was, because Chimera went out there and played shows and people recognized me, but they weren't certain. I'm like, what the fuck? Yes, I'm in Broken Hope, and I recorded one album with them so far called Mutilated and Assimilated.
Love this album.
It's so good. I love it. Me too. It's one of my favorites. By that, and I think The Loathing was another album I like by them. But also, so from the very first Dirge Within show, I met Jeremy, which was like, 15 years ago or whatever. I met him because his band Lupara was playing. And ever since then, Jeremy was always a very key figure and role into helping bands and dudes out. He was a good guy. So he would let us use his trailer. And then he would drive us in his van with his trailer and let us use his cabs for shows when I was in Dirge Within. So we become friends and we're hanging out. He let us hang out at his house. He had a Jaeger machine. He let us party in there, crank fucking Sabotage till we puke, He was a bro. So we'd hang out. And then, years went by. He didn't do it. He brought Broken Hope back. I'm in Chimera still, whatever. Something happened on that end. Those guys split. He goes, you know what? I'm going to call my good buddy Matt up, see if he wants to do it. Jeremy and I reconnected. I said, hey, this is a great thing because, at that point, I don't want to tour 9 months out of the year like I've been doing with all these bands. I just wanted to keep it more low profile. And also, for me, I love death metal. I never played in a death metal band, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. I always wanted an album that was like, yeah, that's me. Fucking be scared of this shit, like crazy white people music.
Yeah.
So I have, blast beats and growling. So I finally got it with Broken Hope, and it was killer because we went out right away to like Europe and did a bunch of those festivals. And then we're playing with all those fucking bands. Like, I'm no longer hanging out with Killswitch Engage. I'm hanging out with fucking Abath and fucking Satan, like basically shit like this. So it was like, whoa, it was cool to see that because, and I'm going to be honest, I really didn't know that scene was still as big as it was at doing what it was, because I was kind of on the other end of things, And then when I joined Broken Hope, I was like, holy fuck, death metal is probably even bigger now, and it's more renowned, and it's even, and it has a place. It's in Europe, and it's, South America and stuff like that. So it was awesome. And yeah, so Jeremy and I are old friends, man. He sometimes sends me random pictures of us hanging out at the House of Blues with like Michael Amott at Arch Enemy shows back in 2008 and shit, we go way back. Yeah, he's a homie. He's a brother. So we're about to do a new record, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's the status with the new Broken Hope album?
Yeah, just I think it should be by summer all done, because we're about to go and do like a bunch of summer tours coming up. So by then we already announced like the record, the name, that it's going to start tracking next year.
Nice. Because
Yeah.
I'm stoked for y'all. I remember the first time I actually saw you all was actually over 2 years ago. You played the Psycho Las Vegas Fest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I actually went to Vegas to see you guys. And that was like the first time I ever saw Broken Hope, and I was like, damn, they're fucking heavy as fuck.
Thank you. Dude, that was such a great show. I love that festival. Oh my god. I so want to go back.
Yeah, that was at the Mandalay Bay.
Yeah.
And I remember I had to do like a lot of walking because I was staying at the Excalibur Hotel, so I had to like walk a little ways to get to Excalibur.
Oh yeah, that's right. I mean, but it's all worth it in the name of fucking metal. I mean, right? There's like 4 stages. They're all in Mandalay Bay, right? It was all that one.
Yeah, sort of. But I know you were playing at like the House of Blues in Las Vegas.
Oh yeah, that's right. I love that venue. I even played there a handful of times before with some of these other bands I was in, but Broken Home, man, that was such a pummeling vibration from that stage, because that was a great stage. Yeah. And we played with like Repulsion was on there, and then some other class.
I know like Cannibal Corpse was playing there, and Dying Fetus. They played at like a beach pool stage.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was a beach outdoor Mandalay.
Yeah,
Bay, party, Dying Fetus. Yep.
Cannibal. Yeah, and I remember that after day 2, I had like blisters on my feet from like walking too much.
Oh, yeah, because that's all it is. And it was still at the time where it's like masks everywhere,
Yeah, but it was like outside, so I didn't need to, but inside I had to.
Yeah, inside. Hey, let me ask you this. After that whole trip, you came home, did you get COVID?
Fortunately, no.
Awesome, me too. And I actually went off and did 3 or 4 more shows on the West Coast for Psycho Las Vegas. I played like San Diego. Flew back. Flew like 6 airplanes, dude. I got nothing.
Yeah. Well, I've always been a very negative person, so it worked out on my favor.
Yeah. Yeah, same actually. So that was a cool thing, man. But that Psycho Vegas, man, it's probably one of the best U.S. festivals, man. Next to like, I mean, they're all fucking cool. But that, and then the other one we do is Maryland Death Fest. I really like
which
that.
I'm gonna see you all next year, and I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, you got to hang out, dude. You got to hang for sure,
dude. Yeah, I'll hit you up there. But I think that's Psycho Vegas. I went last year. I saw like Emperor and Merciful Fates, and so many great bands. It's like Suicidal Tendencies, Mayhem, At the Gates, a lot of great bands.
Oh fuck, all my favorites.
Yeah, and I even remember like right before Merciful Fate, I actually ran to Brian Slago from Metal Blade and Kerry King from Slayer, and I was like, holy shit. As they were like walking to get because I remember that little area, it was like packed like when Merciful Fate was about to go on.
Oh yeah,
because they closed out the whole festival.
Oh yeah, they sounded incredible. I wasn't there, but I watched the video and it was like, oh my god, these guys sound phenomenal. Like phenomenal. That shit was the King still got it.
Yeah, like he's in his 60s and he still sounds pretty much has like that same voice as he did in the 80s. It's insane how his voice still remains unchanged.
Oh yeah, unbelievable, right? I know, unchanged completely. It's like he's just got that technique. You know, it was like that Dio. To the day he died, he sounded perfect like Dio every time. It was like, whoa, you know, it's rare. It's hard. Not everyone's got it because the voice, you know,
probably that.
Is a human.
And I could also put in Bobby Blitz from Overkill, and I had him on here a few months ago. He pretty much described himself. His voice is like Mickey Mouse on speed.
That sounds about right. That sounds
Yeah,
about right. Yeah, he's got it. That's
yeah,
cool. I haven't seen Overkill in a while, man. It's been probably 10 years since I saw them live.
yeah. I
I
saw
used to
them
be
on their last tour with the Exhorder.
Oh hell yeah, we did some couple festivals with them. I got to see them live. They're awesome, killer throwdown, man.
Oh yeah,
Um, yeah, that's fucking crazy. X Order, wow, that shit's bad. Anyways, yeah, so dude, I can't wait to get another record out, get out, do some shows and stuff. And I love that. Like, we don't go crazy and tour like all year round, but we get to do all the cool things and see our buddies and play some fucking heavy ass shit and call it a day, you know?
hell yeah. And I guess like the last thing I want to talk about is Vented, with which Cruelty and Corruption came out last year. Worked with, of course, our boy Sean Zatorsky, and Austin, of course, from Chimera playing drums. So what was that
Yeah.
like with making that album?
Well, so I just did a guest solo on it. I wasn't like part of making it or anything. But it was awesome because Sean hit me up. He's like, "Hey, would you do a solo for this one song?" He sends me the song. I love this song. I like really love this song, and I'm not just saying that because I'm Sean's friend. I was like, "Wow, I love the message, especially." Of course, I love his voice, phenomenal. And then I'm like, "Yes, I'll do it." And then it just fell into place. I did it in like 1 week, and I sent it to them, and they loved it. And they're like, "All right." And then once it was mixed, they sent it to me, and that was that. I even shot a little video of me ripping the solo while I was tracking it here in my studio. And but I did listen to the record, so like it's great. The record's phenomenal, man. I wish I could have played more on it. You know, I
Yeah,
love making records. Who doesn't? I mean, it's just cool. We all, you know, I'm here for the music. It's not like I don't care about the status or the money. You know, I live, I get by, I do great. I'm here for music and the fucking love of metal. And guys like you, man, they want to rap about this shit and talk metal because that shit's cool, you know?
yeah, yeah. I could literally talk for hours.
Oh, I could tell, man. I can't wait to see you in person. We'll fucking get a dinner and talk about every metal band under the
Sure,
sun.
sure. I'll take you up on that offer in Maryland. So we'll do that.
Yeah, good food out there too. But yeah, so it's just we're just all here for the same thing, man. For the brotherhood and metal, and for that message, you know, the underdog, man. That's where we come from. So yeah, shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Go forth and thrash.
Hell yeah. And so kind of wanted to talk about, like, because you've played with so many different bands, like Broken Hope to Chimera, right to Dirge Within. It's funny how it goes Broken Hope B, Chimera C, Dirge Within D, but I know it was kind of backwards when during your timeline. I thought that was like something interesting I had to point out.
I never even thought of that. That just blew my mind.
Yeah, like DCB.
DCP. Holy shit. That's
Yeah.
incredible, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. I never thought about it like that. Well,
Yeah.
DCBA, yeah, I need to join Accept now with
Yeah.
Wolf Hoffman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I never thought about it, but I like that. I think that's cool. I think that there's symbolism there.
Yeah.
Something.
Both playing like with Broken Hope, which is just straight up death metal, Chimera kind of like in the groovy metal, and Dirge Within kind of like I describe as like thrashy metalcore. Is there like a different mind frame depending on like the bands that you play with?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely different mind frame for sure. Just because of the feel. It's like feel time to me. Because you could put a metronome on and you got strict time. You just hear a click. But feel time is the background, the groove, the genre. You know, so all these bands have their own different groove and feel. Chimera, dude, they did that punk thing, the 1-2, got that thing. Man, there was a lot of that. I had to get hip to that because that's kind of like hardcore punk with metal and thrash in there, all of that. And then Chimera also did this heavy groove thing, you know, Disappearing Sun, like the Meshuggah. I had to get like behind the beat. They would stress the importance of getting behind the beat, relaxing on it, and then fucking, you know, so there was like a whole system there that was awesome. And I learned a lot from it from a rhythmic aspect. And then when you're getting into like Broken Hope, that's just like fucking really just fast, deathy thrash, but more now it's all like this kind of old school playing, you know, not like drop playing with one finger. It's just power chord playing and heavy chugging, more downstroking, like or throw picking rather. Different tempos. Dirge Within, same thing, kind of. It was an amalgamation of all the things I just said. Dirge Within was like more melodic. So I had to be more melodic. There was more finger movement, I think, from melodies to riffing, and then the approach of what fits where, you know what I mean? So like I can't just all of a sudden play melodically over like a heavy Broken Hope riff. You just fucking lock in and play either a harmony or that riff to get it heavier. But in dirge, it was like, okay, here's the heavy riff, but now let's play something over that. So yeah, approaches are completely different.
Yeah.
In every situation.
Yeah. And then like the final question I want to talk about is like gear, because I see you have like a ton of guitars in the back. So what's like your rig currently in terms of like guitars, strings, pedals, amps, and all that good hoo-ha?
Well, I'm very simple. I'm a plug and play kind of guy. I mean, I just like literally use the EVH 5153, the Van Halen ones. I swear by them. I love those amps. Nothing beats them. EVH cabinet. I use the noise gate. Something through the front end of the amp, like a Maxon. Like typically metal guys will do just a little bit of sizzle through it. And then I use my guitars are Seymour Duncan loaded distortion or an EMG 8185 combo, depends on it. But this is my Broken Hope guitar. I use like a red guitar here. It's got the Duncan.
Nice.
This
looks
cool.
badass.
Yeah. Legator is cool for this, man. This is like the color of the mutilated assimilated cover. So I always play with this one. That's why I love this guitar. But it's just simple. It's like pickups, the gate, and then the amp. And usually I do fly dates, so I just try to get a PV 5150 if they don't have the regular Fender 5153 version. And effects, no, I mean, if I can, I just like to sprinkle a little reverb or delay on the leads. But I usually try to keep it pretty straight, like with the death metal thing, it's like, it's supposed to sound like it's coming from the grave.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Like Trey Azagthoth puts a fan next to his fucking microphone and shit. I like that. To me, that actually does something. That's. I mean, I wish I could do something so cool, but no, I'm just straight up. Like it just got to sound heavy and cut through.
Nice.
I play with mids, by the way. I use mids. That's my secret mids, because if you cut those mids, it works in your bedroom, but live, not so good. Because even if you think you're not using mids, your sound guy in the front of the house, he's gonna bring them in for you, because otherwise no one's gonna hear what the hell you're doing. So the secret sauce to being audible and heavy is mids.
All right. And so kind of in the end, to wrap things up, I just want to thank you for this conversation, Matt. It's great to be able to chat with you today. There's just any final words you want to say to close us out, and anything else you'd like to plug?
You come say hi, man. Visit me on any socials. I know I'm not too big on there. Matt Szlachta, Facebook, Data Skeleton on Instagram. I don't know. I put out some guitar instrumental music because I teach. If anyone's interested, hit me up. I do lessons constantly here and all sorts of musical things. But yeah, reach out to me. If you like this interview, come say hi. Keep listening to metal and just keep your ears open and listening to music and supporting it. If you're streaming music, awesome. But go to a show and buy a shirt. Let the bands you love know you love them, because that's what'll keep them coming.
True words. So everybody, Matt Szlachta from Broken Hope. See you next time.